Hello again, my name is Zero Ash and this is Zero Ash Podcast. Today we're going to talk about an album which greatly combines classic pop-punk or pop-punkish approach towards composing and performing musical content with a completely contemporary sound and conceptual meaning. All in all, it's necessary to remember that nowadays we can rarely see pop-punk bands sounding the same as they were 8 or 10 years ago when the pop-punk sounded it was like much more popular than it is nowadays, to be honest. As of today, it's only the old school bands like this one in the genre tend to stick to the classical sound of it. However, I cannot say that these guys sound bad or represent an outdated style. Instead, I'd like to assure you that the current album is worth listening to, and just for the sake of listening to a great combination of upbeat pop-punk music with rather depressive and really sad meaning. It's what I like about this album in the first place. So, Good Charlotte is an American pop-punk music band which I never listened to on a continuous basis. I mean, I might have heard certain tracks from these guys occasionally in video games or on YouTube, but the fact is that I never even heard any of their albums from beginning to their end. Moreover, I have never been interested in them. Nonetheless, it was quite unexpected for me to see their latest album of these guys in my Google Play suggestions. To be honest, I expected something like a parody to the old school pop-punk, which would be mediocre at best with its cliché techniques and sounds. In reality, it was not the case this time, which was really pleasant for me. The album is titled Generation RX, which is generally referred to the abbreviation of medical prescription, which suggests that the current album will discuss the current generation struggling with its addictions and emotional problems causing them. All in all, the overall conceptual framework is based on these messages of youth abusing drugs and substances because of their severe anxieties and depressive disorders. What is more important in this regard, this concept is a complete opposite to the theme of Suicide Boys, for example, where the depression and addiction are being shown in a negative way. In current album, it is being said that such depressive disorders and addictions represent severe problems, yet they can be resolved in order to start living a better and happier life. As for the cover art of this album, here we can see the photo of the guys wearing makeup resembling rippers, like the Deaths. In other words, I see the album's cover and its title as a clear reference to the youth's problems with the drugs, which was always the case, to be honest. However, it is being often argued, though I cannot offer exact data, that drug overdoses rates are currently the highest which ever was. Let us move on directly to the lyrical analysis of the album, because here it is quite easy to do. It is because of the fact that the lyrical meanings of the tracks and the whole album in general is clearly represented above, by the meanings that are above the surface. It is easy to tell which is the meaning of each of those tracks. Therefore, you would hardly need to think about additional messages or meanings hidden within the lyrics. In fact, every track tells us a story of young people struggling with anxiety and emotional pain because of being misunderstood or being caught up in bad relationships. Still, these themes are also being balanced by the lyrics telling that it is normal to feel such anxiety and such pain in young age, and that it is better to endure and outlive these emotional problems because life will get better once this is achieved. In total, we can clearly see that it's not the most complicated, not the most artistic, not the most new lyrical content in terms of meaning. However, I appreciate the fact that it addresses one of the most prominent issues in contemporary youth. From a completely musical standpoint, we can hear decent, good pop-punk music, especially in the first half of the album, which represents the same old-school approach towards composing and performing verses and hooks. Cannot say that I could hear something new and really outstanding there, but I like the fact that the melodic content has been done on a decent level and quite enjoyable. The hooks are quite memorable and easy to listen. Additionally, they perfectly balance the depressive meaning of the lyrics with the overall positive vibe of the instrumentals. In the second half of the album, we can hear more rockish, more rock approach towards making musical content. The tracks are composed of couple chords or even notes being played in verses, along with 2 to 3 power chords played in choruses. In other words, it becomes a standard, even cliché rock style. I'd like to admit that the vocals and occasional synth save this mediocre instrumental, despite the fact that the vocals are highly infused with autotune. No hate towards autotune, but I'd appreciate more live vocal in this genre. All in all, 90% of musical content is based on the vocal lines, which have been made good enough to deliver the aforementioned message and be memorable, at least for me. Plus, I also like the track Leech because of Sam Carter's feature, and because of Architect's Fanboy, yeah. And the closing track of the album sounds like a really positive and full of hopes ending towards the depressive and dark concept of the album. As you can see, I'm really satisfied with this album despite the fact that there are too many cliché details present in each pop-punk track. Like every cliché detail present in pop-punk album you can see there. Nonetheless, it just worked for me because of the aforementioned reasons. That's why I give it 4 out of 5, at least for me. So that's it for today. Thanks for listening. If you like this podcast, please give it a like. If you're here for the first time, please consider subscribing. Leave a comment about whether you listened to this album or not, whether you liked it or not, and what should I review next in my future podcast. Also check the links in the descriptions below and follow me on social media. And that's it for now. Thanks for listening, and you'll hear me next time. Goodbye.